Seriously though, I'm really sorry I gotta say this every single time, but this video is brought to you by EA Game Changers. EA flew me out to San Francisco to check out Anthem early. This bill's not final, things are subject to change, you know the drill, yada yada yada. Alright, video. If there is one thing you should learn about Anthem, it's that freezing enemies is really good, it's near overpowered, and Storm is insanely good at doing that. They're broken, amazing, good in team play, they're really, really good. But if there's another thing that you should learn, it's primers, detonators, comboing, and how all of that actually works. Comboing is vital to group play in Anthem. It's how you'll end up dealing lots of extra damage to enemies, proccing effects and bonuses, which you'll need to take on higher level content. Fortunately, it's pretty easy to understand. There are two components to comboing, primers and detonators. Primer abilities will prime an enemy for detonation once they've been tagged by said ability, or tagged enough times if the status effect on the attack is not very strong, and a detonator will, well, it'll detonate the primed enemy. It is really as simple as that. Primer abilities are marked via a circle with a dot inside of it, and detonators are marked with an explosion-like symbol with 4 points. These marks are found next to ability names in the Forge when equipping them, and on your gameplay UI in the corner of the ability box. For the most part, ice and acid abilities will be your primers, although there are some fire abilities that prime as well, and I'm sure there are lightning abilities too. Not all ice and acid abilities are primers, although it feels like most of them are, and not all fire and lightning abilities are detonators, although a good chunk of them are. Just look for the symbol to tell what the ability does. If your ability doesn't have a symbol at all, then that means it's neither a primer nor detonator. Some abilities just deal pure damage and that's it. Most melee attacks are detonators, so if you get into a situation where you only have primers, you can go up and just slap something with a melee attack to detonate. You may be occasionally hearing a ding noise during this video. That is the audio indicator that either you have detonated a primed enemy or someone has detonated an enemy that you primed. Each javelin also has their own bonus effect when properly comboing. This bonus effect happens on the detonation of a combo. The Colossus has the explosion combo type, where when comboing as a Colossus, your detonator will deal damage to all targets around that main enemy as well, within a certain radius. The Ranger's effect is Impact, where the detonator will deal really high damage to the target. The Interceptor's effect is Aura, where the Interceptor will get an aura of the element that was primed on the enemy when detonated, which can spread to other targets around the Interceptor. And the Storm's combo effect is called Chain, which is similar to the Interceptor's ability, where when you hit with a detonator, the status effect of the primed enemy will spread to enemies nearby. For example, let's say I'm playing an Interceptor and I'm playing with a Storm friend. My Storm friend freezes an enemy with a primer ability, and I go to detonate it with a high kick detonator ability. I will attack, and when the combo procs, I'll get a buff on the side of my screen saying Aura Ice. This means that I'm basically pulsing an ice effect onto nearby enemies for its duration. Very important to know that enemies that are primed can only be detonated for a combo once per priming. So if I'm in a team of 4 and our Storm primes an enemy, whoever gets the detonation on that enemy first is the person who will proc the combo and thus their effect and any other bonus effects they might get. If I'm the second detonation, I will not get the combo portion and thus will not proc my effect. I mentioned it's important for group play, but primers and detonators are also pretty important for solo play. If you're by yourself, having one of each kind is sort of a big deal because otherwise your damage output could suffer. You don't really want to be stuck with 2 detonators and no primers, although at least with 2 primers you can melee to detonate if you're a class that can get away with doing that, like the Interceptor or Colossus. For group play, at least based on what I've been playing and experimenting with, the Storm is very, very good at priming enemies with ice abilities, so doubling up on primers as a Storm is not a bad idea, especially if you have an Interceptor in your group who is able to spread those status effects for you with their combos. that's basically it. It might not seem like a lot, but it is super, super important that you learn primers and detonators because they're a huge part of gameplay and proccing effects and all of that. So learn it. I mean, you already did because you watched this, and you will be good at the video game. Cool. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.